30 years after the apartheid era, South Africa is set to hold its 7th general election on Wednesday, the 29th May. Citizens will be electing new members of the National Assembly and Provincial legislature for the nine provinces of the country. In this report, TVC News correspondent Ayodele Ozubako in Johannesburg gives us an overview of the election in the Rebel Nation.
Since its multi-racial election in 1994, which is now conducted once in 5 years, the African National Congress, ANC, has dominated the South African Parliament at both the National and Lower House and the National Council of Provinces, NCOP, with an absolute majority. The ANC won the election and retained power after subsequent elections in 1999, 2004, 2009, 2014, and 2019. But in 2021, municipal elections to elect members of councils to all districts, metropolitan and local municipalities in each of the country's 9 provinces marked a shift in the electoral cycle of the country. The ANC, for the first time since 1994, had less than 50% votes in the election. Following the collapse of apartheid regime, South Africans had huge expectations that social, economical, and political issues in the country would be adequately addressed. But not much has changed.
People out there, they are angry. They're angry. There's some disappointed that our government, they've done.
This has resulted in the decline in popularity and support for the ANC in the South African political space.
But what we're getting after that vote, no service, no nothing.
There's growing frustration among the citizens over the policies of the party on growing economic inadequacies, high unemployment rates, corruption, rising crime rates, and abysmal state of public infrastructure like water and electricity, as well as basic service delivery. In a bid to end the ANC-controlled governments, minority political parties lean more towards coalition building to win elections. The Democratic Alliance, which is South Africa's leading opposition party, gained dominance in some metropolitan cities in the 2016 elections. The party won in Shwene in the province of Pretoria, Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni in the province of Durban through minor and major coalitions. The fast approaching 2024 elections come with an interesting twist, as independent candidates will also be contesting for offices alongside other political parties.
I have seen you. The Democratic Alliance has seen you. We've tasted your bitter disappointments.
The South African Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, has confirmed participation of 70 political parties and 11 independent candidates in the national and provincial polls on Wednesday.
We call on all South Africans to come out in numbers and exercise their democratic rights to vote.
Ayodele Ozubako, TVC News, Johannesburg, South Africa.
And for more on the election, let's bring in the publisher of Inside Watch Africa, Sheyi Adeyemo. He joins me virtually here in Lagos. Good to have you join us.
Thank you so much for having me on your program.
So the voting patterns and trends that we've seen sort of indicate that after 35 years in power, the African National Congress could be relegated to the opposition bench. What has led to ANC's shaky footing in South Africa's politics?
Truth of the matter is, I tell people, election is just part of a very long process of providing job security, general well-being for the people. And this is not something that you can toy with because everyone feels it. The whole world is looking at you. The people are feeling the pain if it's painful, and if it's good, everyone can feel it. And so the truth of the matter is, no matter what anybody say, a lot of people are not so happy with the way things have turned out, in the past 30 years. Yes, we're happy that we now have a situation where, to a great extent, you have black people sitting on the same table with white people. The era where you have white people ruling and all of the pain had gone. But unfortunately, development, work, security is the indices rather than growth has been appreciating over the years, and that's why ANC, which has been the ruling party for this 30 years, is obviously is not as popular as it used to.
And it's not just the ANC. There seems to also be an ongoing fracturing of political support among many other parties. There is also, we also know that there is a sense that rather there is a decline in the percentage of voters in that country. There is a sense that South Africans are discontent and dissatisfied with the establishment. Could this play in the favor of newer parties?
I mean, obviously, you would have a situation where newer parties get more seats, in the parliament, and get elected in certain areas that are traditionally gotten by ANC. Yes, because like we all know, most South Africans are disgruntled, they're unhappy. There's great apathy in the land, and it's unfortunate because this has all sorts of shades. The youth, people who were in ANC before, who feel strongly that they were not getting the kind of deal or kind of patronage they thought they should be getting. An example is Zuma. Zuma feel that he was wrongfully pushed out of ANC, so he has a lot of followership, and they also are going to take a large, a part of the natural vote that ANC would have gotten, So, and you then have the DA. Everybody knows this is the white-dominated party. They also would want to, would take a part of that as well. You have the EFCC, which is dominated by the youth. They also are going to take some large or, reasonable chunk of the vote that naturally or traditionally will have gone to ANC.
And as you enumerate all of these factors, who and what could shape this election?
Truth of the matter is, there's still a large of South Africans who believe that the reason why they have freedom today is because of ANC, and those large chunk of people are still going to vote for ANC. Yes, like I said earlier, a lot of people feel disgruntled, and they are trying or willing to try new parties, willing to see whether they will get some sort of good or better deal from new parties. You have a lot of, as you enumerated in your report earlier, you now have 7 new, independent parties, 70, political parties. So, it shows you how divided, everything it is right now with the situation of political atmosphere in South Africa. So, yes, some people are naturally going to stay in ANC, like I said earlier, because they believe that the reason why they are where they are today is because of what ANC did for the people. But you are going to have a lot of youth say, look, we're tired of what we're seeing. We don't know the history you're telling us. What we see is that we have insecurity. We have a situation where we don't have enough electricity. We don't have jobs. And so those people are disgruntled, and they are naturally going to vote for the youth party. You then have, like I said before, some people who feel that they didn't get a good deal from ANC. They were members of ANC before, and so now they now belong to new parties. So those people would naturally vote for those new people. And there's going to be a lot of coalition. A lot of people are talking across party lines. They're saying maybe we need to go into this together. Maybe we can share the platforms together. Maybe we can share the vote together. So it's a new dawn. It's a new time for South Africa. It's worrisome because some of us in Africa who believe that the South Africa, we're the ones we were looking at as doing things right, are not too happy with the way things have turned out over the years.
And you've touched on a number of issues. You know, one of them are the local issues, unemployment, power cuts, issues around corruption. But here is also a country we've seen in recent months and weeks looking to extend its or escalate its influence beyond the Southern African region to become a medium or an emerging global power. We see how President Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to do that. So how significant are the choices ahead for the future of South Africa when you also put in the idea of the coalition, you know, into all of it?
Truth of the matter is there cannot be any room for any vacuum in the world. Nigeria used to take the lead. Unfortunately, we seem to be more preoccupied with a lot of things right now, and there cannot be any vacuum. So South Africa have stepped up, and they have taken the leadership. It's needed. Africa needs to rally around a particular country or some form of leadership for the continent. So yes, it's something that must be done. So whilst we take care of our internal problem, the external problems that directly affect us as a people or, you know, as a continent, and South Africa obviously cannot afford not to play in that space. So yes, and all of these people, I mean, I must say, are also playing some very active role in the way things turn out in Africa. They will not leave us alone because they do business with us on a daily basis, and their business interests are here, and they're not going to just leave us alone. So truth is, we would have to, and in this case, South Africa would have to lead the continent into speaking and getting involved in certain issues that are on the global stage.
Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time and analysis. Publisher of Inside Watch Africa, Seyi Adeyemo.
Thank you so much for having me.